Hello and welcome to Social Church. We're really excited to be recording another Q&A today with a good friend of ours, backed by popular demand, Flip Michaels, for author of a brilliant book, 5 Half-Truths. Today's question, Flip: how were people saved in the Old Testament?
Thanks, David. This is something that I seek to answer in chapter 4 of my book, 5 Half-Truths. You see, in Old Testament times, God had instructed his people, the Israelites, to perform animal sacrifices. And they were required to do so regularly and with specific instructions on the kind of animals and the procedures involved. However, it's important to note that these sacrifices, they did not pay for their sins against God. Hebrews 10:4 makes this clear, and that it is impossible for the blood of bulls and goats to take away sins. So then, why would God have required them? I mean, how could God receive this kind of payment and forgive the Old Testament believers of their sins when he clearly states that he would not clear them of their debts? The answer is absolutely astonishing, and it brings us right to Jesus, who is the one and only sacrifice that actually could atone, literally pay, for our sin. It is because the effectiveness of those Old Testament animal sacrifices rested not in themselves, but in what they were pointing to. The Old Testament people, they were placing their faith in what was promised to come, the greater sacrifice. That is the Lamb of God whom the Father would offer for his people. The animal sacrifices of old were pointed. They were connected to the divine plan of God the Father. He wholly offered his Son as the one and only sacrifice that could atone for sin. And their faith in that payment by God at a future time, it's what saved them. Let me read for you a very helpful statement from Bruce Ware of Southern Seminary that I also quote in my book. He writes, "Consider what happens when you buy something with a credit card. Suppose you're in the mall and you find some shoes you like. You can take those shoes up to the register, charge them to your credit card, and walk out of that store with your new shoes, having paid absolutely nothing for them. Why is this not shoplifting?" he writes. "Why are you not stopped at the door by the security guard and charged with stealing? You are free to leave with the shoes because you've entered into a legal transaction whereby you have obligated yourself to a future payment by which you and others may now consider those shoes as your own. Even though you've not paid a penny for them, you have tied yourself legally to an agreement. That's what you've done, by the way, when you sign the credit card slip, by which those shoes will be paid for by you at some agreed upon date in the future. So while the shoes are legally yours, they are only paid for when the credit card statement comes and a payment is made from your bank account. In a similar way," Dr. Ware explains, "God forgave the sin of all Old Testament saints as if it were on credit. He devised a system of sacrifices by which each of those animal sacrifices would signal his obligation at some point in the future to ensure that the payment for those sins would surely and truly be made. You know, apart from that future payment," Ware's writing here, "those animal sacrifices were totally useless." So why is it of such great importance to us today to understand the person and work of Christ? I'd argue because God provided a sinless human sacrifice. It was Jesus who shared our flesh and blood, and he did so truly as the perfect man. Dr. Ware concludes, "The credit card statement has come, the check is written, and the payment accepted. This is what God has done in the offering of his Son, who alone could make the payment in full for our sin."
Thanks a lot for that, Flip. That's brilliant. If you haven't yet picked up a copy of Flip's book, 5 Half-Truths, then you've got to get one. It's absolutely brilliant. It's available in all good bookstores, and of course it's available on Amazon as well. Check it out, 5 Half-Truths. If you've got a question that you'd like us to answer on a later episode, then please do get in contact. You can reach us at our website, www.wearesocialchurch.com, or of course you can contact us on any of our social media platforms. Thanks a lot for listening today. Bye for now.